Greetings, greetings, greetings. Good evening, one and all. This is another Melanin Report 360, Melanin Report 360, the Melanin Report 360. I am your hostess, Deanne. I hope you are doing well. Had a wonderful Friday Eve. So thank you so much for tuning in. A little bit of housekeeping. I wanted to let you know to like, subscribe, share, follow, like, subscribe, share, follow, like, subscribe, share, and follow. Would you do that, please? Thank you so very much. So I'm going to talk just a little bit of, not too much of your time. Just wanted to close out the week in where is the place of safety. So where's our safe zone? We are under assault uh, as a people. So where can we feel safe or are safe? I just wanted to toss that up and open up the conversation about that because there's so many places that we go and we attend or participate in, but it just doesn't seem like we are in a safe zone. The safety can come within the person. Obviously, we can kind of protect ourselves spiritually, emotionally, physically. Uh, but in the sense of true oneness of God, oneness of self, um, where are we safe? Where are we safe in this country? And now perhaps we have to ask the question. So let me go ahead and read the fair use disclaimer as I do it every time because I want to delve into a couple of things. And, obviously I want to cover myself and dot my I's, cross my T's. So, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So thank you so much. Okay, so I just want to offer a word of caution, a word of peace in my cautionary tale. We're just in uncharted territory because I believe we haven't had this type of drama, if you will, unfolding on a global level. And so with the pandemic, Syria, all of the above, we have a lot of irons in the fire. So what are you going to believe? Who are you going to listen to? Which news channel? I think BBC perhaps. I don't know if that's fair and balanced. Maybe PBS for some. I just don't know the answer because we are, like I said, living in a different time and space. This perhaps, I believe this was in my spirit. I don't think this just poofed happened, especially the pandemic, the plandemic, which some people will call it the plandemic. Seemed to have, maybe it's been in the works for maybe a decade because there is a really good reason to perhaps do away from all that we have known. Movies, plays, concerts, all the social stuff, family reunions, blah, blah, blah. It's been cut down to a very small amount that we are seeing. So, what is it? What is the big picture? What is the end game? That's what I'm asking. And where are we safe as a people? I really want to know. I want to find out from you, brothers and sisters, because we're just in a different place and time. But with this new administration, we're supposed to be safe, or we should thank our lucky stars that Trump is out. Perhaps people are thinking about that. But in the big picture, it's the same administration. Unless it's dismantled, I don't see any. Oh, by the way, I got my hair cut. Okay. So a little bit lighter, a little bit lighter. But yeah, I want to say the administration will be the administration, will be the administration. From, let's see, which president? I remember Carter, probably Carter. So Carter to Biden. So I've seen probably 5 or 6 presidents. I don't think anything has changed. Fundamentally, we're still catching hell. We're still being brutally killed without impunity. They're not even trying to do the right thing. At any level in this country, has there been a period, a chunk of time, that the police, i.e., um, military police, whichever police division you want to talk about, it's all the same. So it's in our mind that because we have a new quote unquote leadership, it's going to be so much better. I don't believe so. What are we seeing? The pandemic is, in full force. The only thing we're talking about on the news is the pandemic. Now, Syria, I caught that a little bit right before I came on, Syria. So it's always something. So where is the safety of melanated people, Black and brown people? So when we think of safety, we feel we can have our children run out and play, whether it's with a toy gun or otherwise. We can see many, many examples of safety. We know what safety is. Maybe, just maybe before the crime bill passed, perhaps. I'm not remembering hearing about the shootings um, in the city. And, I grew up in Brooklyn. And so I'm trying to remember as a child, young person, young adult in high school, when was I hearing, when did I hear about just shooting and, you know, like it's just another day? So that's the disrespect of our bodies. And so I'm challenging us to really, really dig deep. And again, find out where you are living. Is it safe? Are you feeling safe? You are experiencing safety. And when I say safety, if the police come to your home for whatever reason, do you feel you're in good hands? I'm just asking. If we feel that we're in good hands, there's no question we feel safe. But if we have to be a little bit more cautious when we call the police, or the reason why we're calling the police, because they can turn the tables on us. We've seen that time and time and time again. And so I want to caution people just willy nilly calling the police. Not trying to say put yourself in harm's way. However, there should be another system before you get to the police that could, maybe intervene and, kind of like have excuse me, about the sneeze. Excuse me, sorry about that. Oh, that was a big one. But we really have to be mindful because we don't run to the police as Caucasians do. You know, bird watchers we saw last summer. Um, she called the police on the brother in Central Park. Again, Malcolm said, don't worry about north, south, east, or west. Anything south of the Canadian border is south. Remember, that was a quote from one of his conversations and lectures. But nevertheless, we really need to be mindful of where we are, our surroundings, etc. If we call the police, sometimes again they turn the tables on us, and we're trying to scramble and find bail money or whatever. So I just wanted to have another option. We have that in our communities. We used to have PAL, police something something. The acronym was PAL, and it was mostly in inner cities. I believe, if I'm not misspeaking, it was folks that lived in, you know, projects as they were called. And they had PAL. I don't remember what that stands for, but it was a police. You would go to PAL if there was an issue, immediate issue, um, that needed attention. And so that was a real good way to not put the bodies of Black and Brown people in the hands of police, because we've seen it time and time again that, it's a 50-50 chance of it working out pretty well. Um, if it doesn't work out well, you could end up with Sandra Bland, by, the life and legacy, I'm going to say, of Sandra Bland. But she was really, had a YouTube presence. She was just, moving and shaking. And, that stung me like a bee. And it was just, oh my gosh, So we don't want to have more Sandra Blands. One was enough. So we really want to be mindful when we feel safe, how we feel safe, what other parameters. Don't just put your body in the presence of police. Just, avoid it at all costs. I'm just saying, because we have so many people that have just been killed, by police. But I don't remember a time in my childhood, I'm talking high school, late 70s, early 80s. I don't remember it being so harsh. You would probably get beat upside the head with by the police. Um, they were less likely to shoot to kill or shoot, period. And this is again the 70s, I'm going to say 70s. And after Reagan, that time, and he had 2 terms. So after that, it just went all the way downhill. So we just want to be able to say, we made it home, we count our children, everything is well. But that should not be the case. We live in this country that brought us here, and they didn't expect us to survive. They knew what the formula was to pretty much exterminate us if that was possible, but they didn't create us that way. They could destroy us. But nevertheless, they have injured and harmed and maimed quite a few and our soldiers, and we don't want to have that be ongoing. So because I really want to listen to the interview with Stevie Wonder. I think he's going to be interviewed really soon by Oprah, because he is jumping ship. He doesn't feel safe for his grandchildren. I think that's kind of a quote from him. So without going into detail, I really want to find out what is in his heart. I mean, he's written so much wonderful music over the years. I mean, he's been creating music for decades. and a lot of progressive music. So, with that said, I just want us to get to a place of feeling safe. We pay taxes. We create a lot of revenue in our community, in our families. We're respectful. We are kind. We are generous. We are beautiful people. So not everyone's going to see that. People are going to see the the worst, and they're going to magnify the worst in our community. And every community has folks that are, fill in the blank. We can fill in the blank. But at the end of the day, can we find peace? That's my question. Can we find peace? And is it here? Is it in this country? I think we were talking about that earlier this week. Is this in, is that is that available to us in this country? I don't know. I really don't know. So I'm going to listen to that video, his interview. I think it's coming up pretty soon. I don't know if it's tomorrow or the next day, but it was on, I think, YouTube, or it was somewhere that I noticed that Stevie Wonder is going to be interviewed by Oprah, because he's exiting stage left from this whole, pretty much this experiment called America. So there was something that popped off with Syria. I mean, this, I don't know the strategy. This is the first 30 days, or maybe he's been in office. Well, it's about a little bit over 30 days. So what's more to come? What can happen next? If we're starting, a little bit more wars and this and that, and carrying on, can't we just, with the pandemic? I don't. I know perhaps they initiated some, and now we responded, that kind of thing. But why can't we all get along? That's a quote from Rodney King, right? Why can't we just all get along? That would curtail the experiment. And the reason why there is an experiment going on, we weren't expected to survive. We were not, our ancestors were supposed to be, put here brutally, work land, build the companies, businesses, create general wealth in this country by the labor, free labor. So for that reason, we definitely need reparations. No question about that. So if they are going to do a study, that's an insult. I don't know if it came out of the new administration, but I heard there's a study. I think I heard it on some network. Why would there need to be a study? See, they insult the intelligence of our people. And then we're like, well, maybe it didn't happen. Are you kidding me? So we have to find out who told us this information and what is the basis of telling us this information. Undermine Black and brown people. We know slavery took place. We know it took place in this country. The soil, where we are residing, if you are residing in the United States, we have to have a study now. Again, that's so insulting. That is so insulting. And so I'd rather them just say, we ain't giving y'all nothing. See, if they had said that before um, the election, it may have turned out a different way. I'm not trying to say Trump should have been in there, or could have stayed in there. I don't know how that would affect day in, day out. He was just a hot mess. So I was glad for him to be gone. But with that said, what are we what is the alternative? I think the entire system, what we know, it does not work for average people, above average people, perhaps, but there should be a whole different system. The system that we know, United States of America, all the Bill of Rights, the amendments, the Constitution. I think we didn't get it right the first time because our people were enslaved. White men were the only people who could vote. So think about that. Think about that. So it started off on the bad foot. You know, it started off on a bad foot. So how do you get back to the goodness of the planet and this country being a part of it? You can't, because it started off wrong. It started off incorrect, improper. And when you start off, horrible, our people weren't even considered a person. So coming from that, how can we get, no matter what administration, how can we, excuse me, how can we get into a place of being peaceful, being loving, being kind to each one another? It ain't gonna happen. It started off horrific. For Black and brown people, it remains horrific. I had a police officer, I think I mentioned it a couple of days ago, and I he was behind, not several cars behind me, but I noticed him get over, and so maybe 3 minutes later I got over in the right lane, like, let me get out of that cop's way. But this is because we know statistically, we don't need to have a study. We know statistically what happens, with us and the police. It's back in the good old days. If you were DUI, they would arrest you, take you down to the precinct, and that would be, they would process you, and you'd have to set bail. You go before the judge, and they set bail or whatever. That's the good old days. That was back in the good old days. So now we're trying to get out of the line of fire. We want to get to the precinct in one piece without bullets in our back. So this is where we are. This is the set of the tone of where we are, because we don't hear half of the stories, half of the shootings. A lot of police are protected. It doesn't even get to the front page. It doesn't get to the back page. It just doesn't. It goes unnoticed. It's like I read a report that 1,200 people uh, taking the COVID-19 vaccine, they died after they got the first dose. Now, they told us 1,200 to date. So it could be 2,000, it could be 5,000. So where's the source coming from? So that's what we have to, ascertain what's news source. So can you take everything to the bank from the news? I think we get 40, maybe 50% of news of what's going on, what's really going on. I think we get half news, half sensational, half, not trying to say it's totally lies and false accusations, but we don't even get the full scope of what is really going on in this country. And so I really want us to pause and just think, excuse me, how do we feel safe? How can we have maybe a system within our families or our communities, call so and so and so if you have some stress. I don't know if we should always call the police right off the bat. That's the way we can take back our power than to just, figure out, oh, if we call the police, maybe we'll get a good police officer. It should not be that. We pay their salaries, you know. So we shouldn't have to do like the luck of the draw, we're going to get a good officer. I think I told you a story maybe a couple of weeks ago that I was living in my first place here, and because of my New York sense and sensibility, I had one of my Caucasian friends. We used to work together. We remained friends over the years, and I had her come because I had to call the police on something. I had a little bit of an incident at my home. Nothing. I wasn't harmed, but it was kind of worthy of getting the police involved. And I had her come over and sit and wait with me with the police, for the police, because I recognize I could have had the tables turned and I wouldn't have anyone else to vouch for what was going on, blah, blah, blah. So that is an example of just doing things smart, doing things savvy, and not and to stay safe. We really have to stay safe these days, and not trying to be the fear. We don't want to monger fear because we see that on the TV all the time. So we just want to, stand tall in our convictions and just know that there's other things going on behind the scenes. So we have to do our best to stay informed, but not paranoid and oh my gosh, no, no, no. But I really feel we need to have a system in place that we call somebody else before we get to the police. I don't know if you live in a community and the police officers are good, go with it. But most times, not trying to say all the time, but most times it's a luck of the draw. It's randomness of getting someone who can do their job without seeing. I'm not trying to say your color. That's not possible, but without having bias. So I'm going back to what I would like to impart this evening is a psychological evaluation on each and every police officer. That's the only thing. Oh, that's the only way we're going to turn this thing around. We need to have emotional, mental evaluations on each and every police officer. I don't know if that's an expense, but I'm willing to pay for that. You know, they you know charge for everything else. So why not have let's just say a community X have, you're not going to prep for this. It's not a test that you can prep for. So you can see if there are biases when you are dealing with the public. So if that's what's happening, bye. We don't want you on the force, because that's why we don't have trust in our communities, because we don't know if people have been drinking, smoking, doing meth, whatever. And we need to have periodic drug testing for police officers. I would start there. I would totally start there. If there's some movement of the needle in one direction, and that is safety of all citizens, we pay taxes and taxes pay salaries. So I don't understand why there isn't a reason for this new administration to have vested in our people. we help them get in the office that they hold. So, we still have to get the reparations or the study, so insulting, the study of reparations. Clearly, I would start with periodic drug tests. Maybe they're doing it, but I'm going to say periodic drug tests, evaluation that is coded so you can know police person, policeman, policewoman, if they are biased in any way, they need to get off the force without pension. A lot of these officers, they still have their pension, you know. So we don't want to pay for this abuse. And so we will challenge um, Biden. I think we should. I'm going to write a letter because I think a lot of us do that, it would be a different day. If we put their feet to the fire and say, listen, we got you in, if you voted for or you stayed home or whatever. So the results are the results. Now, you're saying you need to do a study for reparations. Not trying to say it's a shoe in to get the reparations, but now they're going to do a study. But if you can do police reform, black on black crime, we know about. Sorry, we don't want to talk about that, but the crime, the incidents of officers being aggressive and people not maybe coming out with their lives. So we don't have to have a study on that. I think psychological evaluation, bias evaluation, and periodic drug tests, that would be a start. That would be a start. Because we need to feel safe. If we don't feel safe, you know, it's we got a new administration, and I think Biden said something about President Biden. Let me give you his title. So President Biden said something about if there were more interracial couples, something like that, that would be higher tolerance of, so you would see people differently. I don't even understand that logic because we're still being murdered by officers. I mean, I don't understand. Do we need a study on that? So anyway, yeah, I am. I want to. I'm definitely want to see that interview Oprah's going to have with Stevie Wonder. I want to see what he wants to say and is going to say. And I think for the safety of his grandchildren, once again, people not feeling safe. People not feeling safe. And he doesn't want to take a chance of a statistic in his family. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. With that said, thank you so much for tuning me in. Like, share, subscribe, follow, and definitely share the videos. And let's see if we can do this again on Sunday. I'm going to try and come back on Sunday or Monday. Yeah, let's do Monday because I'm going to do 4 days for the remaining of next month. And then we'll probably get back to 5 days after March. So thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe, be well. And again, maybe not call the police on everything. Just a thought. Just a thought. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. The Melanin Report 360. The Melanin Report 360. The Melanin Report 360. I thank you so much for listening. Peace.